So Pokemon cards seem to be declining quite quickly, though this is really not that surprising. Though before we get into this video, I'm actually gifting this Charizard SIR to one subscriber. Now if I reply to your comment and I add the Terapagos emoji, then congratulations, this card is being sent your way. And hey, if you are a first time viewer, welcome to the channel. My name's Phil and I aim to simplify the world of Pokemon collectibles. Definitely feel free to subscribe to the channel. Though Pokemon cards and their prices are obviously being spoken about a lot at the moment, and a lot of people are wondering what the next steps are when it comes to collecting. I mean, you need to kind of look at what we're dealing with in terms of this market at the moment. So here we go with Mew, Paldean Fates. Excellent card. I really rate the Mew from Paldean Fates for the reason being it is so unique to the Scarlet and Violet era, and I talk about this a lot, okay? When we look at Umbreoin is so unique for its era. We never had an Umbreoin chase card. It made the Sword and Shield era reach new heights. It was so unique to the era. When we look at Bubble Mew, to me, Bubble Mew fits more in the Umbreoin kind of vibe. It fits with the Latios and Latias GX tag team card as well, because the Bubble Mew to me was its own identity for the Scarlet and Violet era. When I look at the Umbreoin from Prismatic Evolutions, I personally am not that much of a fan of the card. As the longer time goes on, the less and less I become a fan of that card, because I personally think it was just a self-fulfilling prophecy. I don't think if Umbreoin existed, that the Prismatic Evolutions Umbreoin would be getting the prices it's getting, which I will be speaking about within this video. But the Bubble Mew to me always made sense for its own identity within the Scarlet and Violet era. Though you can see, which I'm quite surprised on how far it's dropping in price. You can see, I'm just on the 6-month graph here, right? You can see in December of last year, it was selling for 266 US. Pretty expensive, right? You can see this card ballooned all the way up to $421. Now, given the pull rates of Paldean Fates, I do think that this was a little bit overinflated. Paldean Fates has moderately difficult pull rates. Nowhere near as difficult as something like Surging Sparks or Twilight Masquerade, but then again, it's not as generous as like Pokemon 151. Pretty much right in between the two. But you can see right now, it is really tumbling down. Currently selling for 301, 100 US off its high point. That's a pretty big percentage decrease. I really like the card. I think that the card has a very positive future, but Paldean Fates reprints are here. So it's not that surprising to see these kind of cards coming down in price. Don't forget, and I keep speaking about this, we have a different culture with how many people open sealed product. Sealed product is just getting opened so much. There is actually so much utility for opening products right now. You go on YouTube right now, you can see live pack openings as much as you want. People are creating content opening packs all the time. You can see it everywhere. It's on every social media platform. So because of that, we are getting more and more cards entering the market. So again, when we're talking about Paldean Fates, we can see the Charizard as well in the last 3 months has definitely gone down in price. You see the Charizard was selling for around 204 US in March. Right now selling for $179. A good 10% off its price point. If we pull this into the 6 months, you can see that this card actually had a high point of 217 US. It's actually really interesting when you see this because a lot of people before this, they would have said, oh, Charizard's going to be the top chase card. And it was because everyone said, oh, Charizard's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. But you can see the sentiment has changed. And last year, if you're around in the hobby, a lot of people were talking about Charizard Fatigue. It was a big topic in the hobby. A lot of people were just over Charizard. We just kind of finished the whole Charizard UPC. Then we had Obsidian Flames and everyone was like, ugh, how much more Charizard products are we going to get? And then we had Pokemon 151 and Charizard was a top chase card in 151. I think by the time Paldean Fates came out, people were just like, you know what? I love Charizard. Yes, it's got a lot of fans, but people just got sick of it. And I can see that the market is a little bit over it. I'm very interested to see how Pokemon tackles this. One thing that a lot of people don't know, the most famous Pokemon kind of recycle. For example, when the Detective Pikachu movie came out, Mewtwo was actually one of the more popular Pokemon. It was actually more searched on Google than Charizard, though it can kind of shift and change depending on the seasons. And I think right now, yes, Charizard, if it's a top chase card, it's always going to be in demand because it's Charizard, right? It's not even just one of the most iconic Pokemon of all time. It's one of the most iconic characters in any franchise of all time. So if Charizard is released as a chase card, it's always going to have demand. But I do think that collectors are looking for something different. I think collectors are more seasoned. I think collectors are more interested in different things. Same thing when we look at the Gardevoir Special Illustration Rare from Paldean Fates. You can see this card was selling for 92 US, currently selling for 74 US. definitely coming down in price. Now you may be thinking, what, that's only 20 bucks, but you got to think of it as a percentage decrease. But then these Gardevoirs also falling, but you can see the special illustration rares from Paldean Fates are coming down in price. Though, again, not that surprising because Paldean Fates is getting a lot of reprints coming on the market, a lot of restocks. Even in Australia, we're getting restocks. So it's getting quite clear what's happening. I just think sentiment's changing, and I think the more people open products at the moment, the more cards are going to come on the market. The more cards that come on the market, the lower the prices get for consumers. So it's good for everyone that wants to collect Pokemon cards, but also I do question how you can have sealed product just continually to go up in price, and then you've got all these singles coming down in price. There will be a little bit of a tipping point where people just go, you know what? I'm kind of over this. Now also, there's actually some really exciting news as I've created a second YouTube channel called Philip's Trick Room, where I create content around Pokemon lore, Pokemon game mechanics, and fun challenges. It's getting some really great feedback on the channel. If you do like my content and editing style, definitely feel free to check out the new channel, which is in the video's description. So here we can see the Sylveon special illustration rare from Prismatic Evolutions. Sylveon was selling for $456 in March, went up to around $562 US, right now selling for $490. So you can see a price reduction is happening at the moment. Prismatic Evolutions is definitely coming down in price. There is a lot of stock of Prismatic Evolutions coming onto the market. The problem is people hoard this product as well. People get Prismatic Evolutions, people are not that inclined to open it. The reason being is when you look at Prismatic Evolutions and you look how much they resell for, I think a lot of people go, wow, I'm pretty much guaranteed to lose money if I open it. And I speak about that. A lot of people know that. And it's quite a shame because I think this set is really awesome if you can pull some of the chase cards. But I think what's turned off a lot of people, especially when you research pull rates, when you watch people opening the set, it is super hard to pull an SIR. To pull a special illustration rare in this set is just so rare. So I think a lot of people are taking a spectator view for this, and I think I am as well, because I'm just waiting to see what's going to happen with these cards. Now, I was speaking about it before, but you can see the Umbreoin from Prismatic Evolutions is really coming down. You can see this was selling for $1,600 US. To me, stupid price point, dude. Always said it, Moonbreon took so many years to get to this price. Moonbreon, the most iconic card from the Sword and Shield era, took years. Why did this card deserve to get that straight away? Never made sense. Still doesn't make sense. And even right now, when we look at the price point of $1,245, that still doesn't make sense to me. I still think that is way too overinflated. And I spoke about it before, Moonbreon had its own kind of league. This is a self-fulfilling prophecy. I think with Prismatic Evolutions coming on the market, and with how likely it is that Prismatic Evolutions is going to have a very long cycle of being available. And the reason why I say that is because Pokemon made an official statement saying that they do realize that there wasn't enough Prismatic Evolutions printed. They're getting on top of it. So I do think we will see a lot more of these cards come onto the market. And right now, I would be taking a very much a spectator view with this card in particular. Same thing when we look at the Prismatic Evolutions ETBs. You can see, I'm going to pull this into the 6 month. You can see Prismatic Evolutions found a high point when it released for $150 per ETB. Now you can see it did come down to around 111 US, then it went up to 138 US, and currently right now it's sitting at 114. Prismatic Evolutions is slowly coming down in price, and I wonder if it will get to the lowest point it's ever been with all these reprints that are coming on the market. Don't forget, because Pokemon TCG Pocket came out in November, all these people came into the hobby, so it is going to be interesting to see where Prismatic Evolutions go from here. Now, another interesting one is the Eevee from Twilight Masquerade. You can see in the last 3 months, this card was selling for 88 US, quite expensive for an illustration rare. If I pull this into the 6 months, you can see that the high point for this Eevee was 104 US, quite expensive for an illustration rare. If you don't know, illustration rares very rarely get to this price point. We only have a few that have ever made it to that. We've had the Groudon, we've had the Magikarp illustration rare, and of course we also have this Eevee. But you can see right now, selling for 59 US, nearly halved in price. And that's what can happen, right? When you have all these reprint news coming in, when you have all these packs being opened, when you have so many people in the hobby, not everyone can collect every chase card. And I think this Eevee actually took a bit of a backseat when Prismatic Evolutions came on the market, because all you had from the Scarlet and Violet era was this Eevee. But now with Prismatic Evolutions, you've got all the Eeveelutions to choose from. So I think that made a big difference for this card. Now for Journey Together, you can see the Salamence, which was selling for 242 US for its pre-release price point. Now you can see that this card is selling for $91. Journey Together is a massive lesson for a lot of people who collect. But what's a good thing about Journey Together is that I think it's calmed a lot of people down to not over leverage themselves in future sets. Because I always speak about this, right? When Journey Together was released or announced, it sold out within an hour. Everyone was going hard. Oh, trainer Pokemon are back, man. We're gonna be all buying trainer Pokemon again. We can't wait. Dude, trainer Pokemon have never been that popular. For the English TCG, they don't have that much fan demand. So a lot of people just assume that there would be demand because it's coming back. Can see it didn't work out as intended, and a lot of the chase cards are not selling for what people thought they would be. Same thing when we look at the Journey Together Enhanced Booster Box. This booster box was selling for $455 US on pre-release, and 12 items sold at that price. So people were paying that. You can see right now the Journey Together Enhanced Booster Box is selling for $200 US, still very expensive, but at least it's not at those crazy price points. So I think the market right now is really finding its position on where it's gonna go. I think right now is just a strange time to be involved in the hobby, but I also wanna say that it's not that surprising. So if you're very surprised why Pokemon cards are crashing, firstly, the thing you need to understand, during the summer period for Europe and US, it is very common for this to happen. There will be a bounce back, I assume, because usually when the winter kind of approaches, people tend to get more interested in the hobby again. It's kind of a thing when the summer's here, people like to enjoy their life. When winter comes, everyone likes to sit inside and drink coffee and drink warm tea and collect Pokemon cards. It's just a natural progression of life. Actually, I don't know if it is, right? I mean, I know when it's winter, I like to be home more and just, do things like play games and stuff. I've got a feeling that's just like a collective thing that everyone agrees on. Like, hey, winter, I just cannot be bothered going out. And that's why I think the hobby is going to be an interesting space. But then again, where will it go in the future? Though as much as these card prices are coming down at the moment, there is a question relating to how to actually navigate the current state of the Pokemon hobby, as it seems it's getting far more complicated. And if you are wondering for the best way to make sense of the current Pokemon hobby, I do reveal that within this video on screen right here. Within this video that's currently appearing on screen, I go over the current Pokemon hobby and give the best tips and tricks to navigate this complicated world. Click the video that's appearing on screen and we'll speak more about it there.